What's good, gamers? Yes, I do have a new microphone. No, I don't know how to adjust my audio properly. Whoops. Today I wanted to talk about Deadlock. I've been toying around with the idea of making a video talking about Deadlock for about a year now, and it's been a game that I didn't really want to get into a MOBA, man. I did not want to get back into another MOBA, and unfortunately I am... It has me by the balls. Alright, so let's start at the beginning. What is Deadlock? Well, Deadlock is a MOBA being made by Valve. Oddly, it's their second active MOBA project since Dota 2 is also theirs. That's kind of neat. But it is very much a MOBA. I don't give a shit about what some Adderall-addicted Zoomer with an English accent told you in their TikTok about it being a hero shooter. They're wrong. No matter what argument you or they are going to make to refute that. Deadlock is a MOBA. Lanes, towers, farm, upgrades, long commitment, crazy ability interactions, and the economy being the most important factor at all times. Those are all things that are endemic to a MOBA. Simple as. But they're shooting, and the camera is third person, like in Marvel Ride. I don't give a fuck. I do not care. Smite also has shooting, and a third person camera. It's a MOBA. Speaking of, on the scale of Dota 2 to Smite, Deadlock is way the hell on the Smite side of the graph. Shit, I might be closer to Predecessor or Paragon or whatever the third project using those assets was called, just because there's an actual third dimension to work with. Not that those games have verticality the same scale that Deadlock does, however. Nor are those games good. Now, if you're a fan of this genre, you're either unemployed, have a serious drug problem, or hate yourself. Despite my employment by the... for the last... I'm still broke and can't afford to abuse any substance. Well, aside from being an alcoholic, but that doesn't really fit with the punchline that's not going to be worth it in a couple of seconds, so fuck off. Based on my enjoyment of Destiny and wanting women to beat me to death, I very clearly hate myself, and Deadlock is perfect for me to get really into for a couple of months while it currently grows in popularity. But what really does it for me? Like, how does this differ to a myriad of other attempts at the genre? Starting with aesthetics, since that's the first thing most people notice, the characters are all extremely distinct, and barring any war crimes or unfinished character models, since they're using placeholders for some still, are very well designed. The characters, they feel like real fucking characters, man. Not stereotypes or perfect performances of character archetypes. Real fucking characters with real dialogue said by real people. For example, right? I'm a politically active person, I've been to protests and demonstrations, and I've met people like Billy before. Like, obviously minus the goat head, but that's a real person. An angry, violent, I will do anything to hit shit kind of person who uses a political agenda to justify their impulses. I've met these people. I was a theater kid in high school, backstage, but that's not the point. I know people that were like Graves when they were growing up. These are all very realized people. They make mistakes when speaking, they have moments of surprise in their own little back and forth. Nothing any character ever says feels rehearsed unless the point is that it was rehearsed, like from The Lash. I even called him The Lash. His name, that's not his actual name, but whatever. Even the absurd psychotic ones like Seven or Viper make sense for the shit they've done and seen. And, I don't know, for some reason we've decided that this isn't actually a positive. Like, I see people calling Venator racist because he has a negative interaction with Apollo and wish he wouldn't be and that Valve would cut the interaction. One, who cares if he's racist? The existence of a character is not an endorsement of a belief system, especially if the character is portrayed as flawed, and damn it if every fucking character in Deadlock isn't a little bit flawed. Secondarily, grow up, you lib-ass bitch. This is how we get another Outer Worlds. So the political commentary feels hollow because there's no cultural context beyond the portrayals in an attempt to avoid appearing to endorse a destructive political belief system. That's why I don't talk about politics very often. Getting back on track, Deadlock is also like, it's a pure passion project for those working on it. It's been in early access since like August of 2024. It's constantly changing, and you literally cannot give them money. If it's successful, which I believe it will be, I really hope it's a game that you can point to when the money people start coming around to say, let us make something, it takes time, please stop making us launch unfinished projects to recoup on costs and ruin any chance of our game actually succeeding. Like, game dev costs so much money, it takes a very long time, and Deadlock has been operating at a loss all of this time because it is literally impossible to spend any money on Deadlock at the time of recording. Not to mention the semi-closed nature of it. It requires an invite from somebody already in the game, so you're breaking the apathy threshold and not even requiring a financial investment on the part of the player. That actually helps for development a lot as well. It gets you an enthusiastic player base that is willing to go the distance with you to help you build the game alongside you. It's kind of cool, right? Like, Smite 2's initial alpha was the best way to go about gathering data in order to develop the game alongside the community and their input. Assuming assuming you're not a company with virtually unlimited resources like Valve does by virtue of owning Steam. But like Smite 2 had its problems, and they're not worth going into here too much, the least of which being the baggage of being a high-res title in the first place. But Deadlock is doing something very similar to what Smite 2 was doing, when I last checked on it anyway. I don't know what it's up to now, because I cannot do 2 MOBAs at once, and high-res isn't the company it once was, but again, I don't want to go into Smite 2's problems in this video. Valve just has the resources to abstain from asking the player to spend even more money on cosmetics, since that's how high-res funds itself. I've said it 3 times already, but I cannot stress enough how fucking important that is for game development. Now I'm gonna do the pretentious thing and invoke one of the many one-liners you hear from people pretending to be smart when it comes to discussing video games. Video games are the intersection of capitalism and art. Every other creative industry existed in some way before the money got involved. Deadlock is exempt from that, and that's fucking awesome. On the front facing anyway. Even the fact that it's a MOBA and not a hero shooter, despite what morons will tell you about it, works to highlight how cool it is to not be tied to industry trends for financial success. MOBAs are hostile game design manifest. You're in a 40-minute match with the same 11 people trying to do something that requires a very large amount of team cooperation over an extended period of time. You've got to farm, push objectives, take losses where you can afford to, contest things, and be mentally on at all times. If you aren't doing something that results in you having more souls than if you did the other things, you are misplaying. The burden of knowledge is so fucking high, knowing characters, abilities, audio and visual cues, items, timing, map navigation, movement itself, farming routes, all of that and more are basically mandatory to learn over the course of playing, and each game is a commitment. MOBAs are not for everybody, nor should they be. Or you get shit like Heroes of the Storm, which still is a MOBA, but they just tried to remove farming being so important per character, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. If you're paying attention to the background footage, which I don't think you should, but whatever, you could probably tell that I am not very good at these games. Not only mechanically, but I don't make the correct decisions and routinely get lost. I'm still learning, and that shit's awesome. The early stages of getting into a MOBA are terrifying. It's overwhelming, and I feel like a moron wasting my team's time, feeding my brains out, but damn it, that discovery is so cool. I don't know all the different interactions yet. I don't know all the weird quirks of how each item reacts to each character's abilities or weapons. I'm learning an incredibly intricate puzzle that does not have one set pattern to replicate, and the pieces are constantly changing. Like, they push patches out hourly sometimes. One day, Angel and I were playing for a few hours, and we had to restart Deadlock after every single match because they were making minor tweaks and pushing them live. It's so fucking cool, man. And I will never have absolute knowledge about it all. I don't know power spike timings, how to gauge if I can fight the tier 3 jungle camps yet, trooper pathings, how to weigh the cost of doing certain things, knowing what characters are good at, and telling if certain balance changes are impactful or not. I don't know any of that shit, and I'm so fucking excited to learn. It's so cool. Fucking hell, man. MOBAs are awesome. They're frustrating, they're toxic, and they're time-consuming, but they're so fucking cool. It's a weird comparison, but I'd argue that MOBAs are most similar to fighting games, which also ties into the small conversations I've seen discussing why Deadlock attracts people from the FGC so much. MOBAs and fighting games are both turn-based games, and if you know what I mean, you're going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. If you don't know what I mean, you're going to be like, that doesn't make any sense at all, and I'm not going to be able to explain it to you without directly talking to you in person and going, this is that, that's this is that. But when I describe them both as turn-based games, I promise you I'm not shitposting. That's a real thing. But getting back on track, MOBAs and fighting games are both turn-based. One is just on a much more grander scale because there's more people in a match, right? Fighting games are as adversarial as MOBAs are to new players, where the learning curve means putting in the sweat equity of getting your ass kicked for a couple of hours before understanding the game enough to become, well, not good, but competent, where you know what you're doing when you press certain buttons. And the character design. Each character is so visually distinct from the rest, and they just ooze personality in their dialogue and animations on top of that, man. And the FGC values style in many different forms, and most of the characters have the sauce in one fashion or another. The point is, there's a lot of cultural overlap there, right? Like I said, oddly turn-based, very competitive, very, very competitive. Varying degrees of mechanical intensity based on game and or character played, and the same for the mental aspect as well. The biggest difference is the team size, basically, and that's really fucking cool. Now on to more specific things. I mentioned it in a previous video that nobody watched, but the landing phase has since become much more enjoyable and prolonged in the lobbies that I'm in. It's still a little short and messy for my liking, but it has gotten better. I do kind of miss the 4-lane map. There's a whole lot of unique shit that makes Deadlock stand out on its own already, and so it didn't need that to be different, but it was very unique. I like solo lanes, and they help with introducing asymmetry to encourage conflict. On another note entirely, I do wish there were more support characters, and being a tank or utility support was more viable. Right now, it's just better to build damage and have 6 damage dealers, since damage means faster farm, and faster farm means more items and boons. Paige, Rem, and Kelvin are like the only 2 real support kits, and even then, Kelvin is like you can build him as just a fucking mage. Like, he could just beam the shit out of people. Like, he's better off just building pure spirit damage. I can play Abrams all fucking day, though. He feels like an aggro support or solo laner from Smite. Huge fan. Genuinely feels like Hercules, just with Thor. He genuinely feels like Hercules, just with Thor's ult and no pull. Like, he's a very fun character, my kind of character, and like, if you know me, you know that I prefer to be a tank or to be a support in these games. I don't do well at being the ADC, I don't do well at being the hyper carry. And unfortunately, I kind of don't have many options to choose from. Like I said, you got Rem, you got Paige, you got Kelvin, and to be honest, they should just build damage. Like, Rem has 2 abilities that don't do damage, so, I mean, maybe there's that, and Paige has a lot of locking targets down and shielding them, but, like, Kelvin should just build damage, you know what I mean? Dynamo should just build damage. He can be a tank, he can be a healer, but, like, just build damage. You're better off that way, because then you can do shit on your own. I don't know. I'm having a blast playing this game. I've got the Deadlock Brainworm, just like everybody else. And, man, it feels good to have a MOBA to be really fucking into again. Some of these new characters, are fucking annoying and frustrating to deal with, but that's, you know, that's something inherent to the genre, to be honest. Anytime a new character gets released, they're always overtuned. Because if they're undertuned, then they don't recover that initial reputation perception, so, you know, you'd rather release them overtuned, make them a war crime, make them really popular, gather a bunch of data, and then balance them later. I don't know why Apollo's fucking parry is on a 15-second timer, though, when he's parrying so many... whatever. I'm not getting into specifics. I'm gonna end the video now. Thank you for watching. If you're playing Deadlock, I'd love to hear about it in those comments down below. Just tell me about it. Tell me about your games. Tell me what you like. If you're not playing it, tell me what you don't like. Anything. I don't give a shit. I want to talk about this game. I just want to talk about this fucking game, man. I'm gonna go play more. I need to go get, like... I think I need to get a 7... I need to get some 7 footage, maybe? I don't know. I'm gonna end the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.